Mass lawsuit threat. Why immigrants are taking legal action against Canada over broken promises. Welcome back to Canada Chronicles. In today's video, we're diving into a developing story that has caught the attention of immigrants across Canada. As of September 2024, multiple lawsuits have been filed against the Canadian government, with immigrants and advocacy groups claiming that delays and policy changes have caused significant harm. From international students stuck in limbo to temporary foreign workers facing deportation, these legal challenges are shining a light on the deeper issues within Canada's immigration system. We're going to explore why these groups are taking legal action, what their cases involve, and, most importantly, how this could lead to major reforms in the way immigration is handled in the future. And stay tuned until the end to hear about the key question everyone's asking. Will these lawsuits force Canada to reform its immigration system? We'll dive into what's next for Canada's immigration policies and whether more lawsuits are on the horizon. Before we get started, make sure to subscribe to Canada Chronicles and turn on notifications so you don't miss any updates on immigration news and stories that matter to you. Let's get started. Canada's immigration system under fire. Canada has long been seen as a top destination for immigrants seeking a better life. However, as of September 2024, a series of lawsuits have emerged challenging the effectiveness of Canada's immigration system. Immigrants and advocacy groups are taking legal action, claiming that Canada has failed to uphold its promises regarding processing times, policy transparency, and fair treatment. These lawsuits are not isolated incidents but rather reflect deeper systemic issues frustrating many immigrants across various categories, from international students to temporary foreign workers and families seeking reunification. The legal battle begins. Who is suing Canada? Several groups have already filed lawsuits against the Canadian government, specifically targeting Immigration, Refugees, and Citizenship Canada, IRCC. These lawsuits argue that the broken promises of timely immigration processing and clear communication have caused significant financial and emotional harm to immigrants. 1. International students leading the charge. One of the most notable lawsuits comes from a group of international students. These students claim they were drawn to Canada by the promise of postgraduate work permits, PGWPs, which would allow them to work after completing their studies and eventually apply for permanent residency. However, due to delays in processing PGWPs and changes to the express entry system, many students now find themselves ineligible for permanent residency. The lawsuit argues that these delays and policy shifts were implemented without sufficient warning, leaving students in limbo, unsure if they will be able to stay in Canada or if they will be forced to return to their home countries without the promised work experience. 2. Temporary foreign workers seeking justice. Another significant lawsuit comes from temporary foreign workers, TFWs, particularly those in essential industries like agriculture and construction. These workers entered Canada on temporary work permits, expecting to transition to permanent residency through programs like the Canadian Experience Class (CEC) or the Provincial Nominee Program (PNP). However, many now face expired work permits due to delays and new, stricter eligibility criteria. The workers' lawsuit focuses on how these policy changes have negatively impacted their ability to secure permanent residency. Many argue they were given insufficient time to adapt, and some even face deportation after years of contributing to Canada's economy. 3. Family reunification. A lengthy separation. Family reunification, a key element of Canada's immigration system, has also been affected. Several families who have applied for spousal sponsorship and the Parent and Grandparent Sponsorship Program, PGP, are pursuing legal action due to extended delays in processing their applications. Some families have been separated for years, with little communication from IRCC regarding their case status. The lawsuits claim that this lack of transparency and communication violates the rights of families to be together. Immigrant advocacy groups supporting these cases are calling for faster processing times and clearer timelines so that families can reunite without unnecessary delays. The core of the complaints. Broken promises. At the heart of these lawsuits is the claim that the Canadian government has failed to deliver on the promises made to immigrants. Many individuals who chose Canada based on its immigration pathways feel their expectations have not been met. This is especially true for international students and temporary foreign workers, who were led to believe that studying or working in Canada would provide a clear path to permanent residency. These immigrants argue that sudden policy changes, combined with processing backlogs, have left them in difficult situations. The IRCC has acknowledged these delays, citing challenges such as increased immigration demand, limited resources, and the lingering effects of the COVID-19 pandemic. Despite efforts to reduce backlogs, many applicants feel that the system is still not functioning as expected. Thanks for staying with us this far. We appreciate your time and hope you're finding this information valuable. Now, let's dive into the next big question. How could these lawsuits affect the future of Canada's immigration system, and will more lawsuits follow? Will these lawsuits force Canada to reform its immigration system? These legal actions may not be isolated events but could signal the start of a broader wave of lawsuits challenging Canada's immigration policies. So, what could happen next? 1. A push for greater transparency and accountability. One of the main demands in these lawsuits is for greater transparency in immigration processing. Many plaintiffs argue that the lack of communication from the IRCC leaves applicants in the dark, often waiting months or even years without updates on their applications. If the courts rule in favor of the plaintiffs, it could force the IRCC to implement new policies that require more frequent updates and clearer timelines for processing. This could lead to better online tracking systems where immigrants can check their application status in real time, reducing frustration. 2. Policy changes to address delays and backlogs. The lawsuits also highlight processing delays that have affected all categories of immigrants, from skilled workers to family reunification applicants. A successful legal challenge could prompt the government to increase funding for immigration services, hire more staff, and upgrade its technology to reduce backlogs. Additionally, there may be pressure to review eligibility criteria for programs like the Canadian Experience Class and the Provincial Nominee Program. If the courts find that recent policy changes were unfair, we could see adjustments that make it easier for applicants to transition to permanent residency. 3. Will more lawsuits follow? As these lawsuits gain public attention, more legal actions are likely to follow. Advocacy groups have already indicated they are preparing class action lawsuits for larger groups of immigrants, including those affected by family reunification delays and those in non-priority sectors for permanent residency. If these lawsuits succeed, they could set a precedent for further legal action. Immigrants facing similar issues, extended wait times, sudden policy changes, or lack of communication, may feel empowered to take legal action, potentially leading to significant reforms in Canada's immigration system. The government's response so far. The Canadian government has acknowledged the issues raised by the lawsuits and has committed to addressing some of the key concerns. In recent months, the IRCC has announced plans to increase staffing and digitize more of the application process in an effort to reduce wait times. However, these changes may not be enough to satisfy the plaintiffs, particularly those who argue that the government's policy shifts have unfairly excluded them from permanent residency pathways. If the courts side with the immigrants, the government could be required to make more substantial reforms, including revising eligibility criteria and improving transparency. What's next for Canada's immigration system? The outcome of these lawsuits will likely have a long-lasting impact on Canada's immigration system. Whether or not the plaintiffs are successful, these legal challenges have brought to light several systemic issues that need to be addressed. As more lawsuits emerge, the government will face increasing pressure to ensure that its immigration policies are fair, transparent, and efficient. At the same time, Canada must balance these reforms with its national interests, ensuring that its immigration system continues to attract skilled workers while also addressing the needs of families and temporary workers. The coming months will be critical in determining the direction of Canada's immigration policy, and these lawsuits will undoubtedly play a key role in shaping that future. Thanks for watching today's episode of Canada Chronicles. If you found this video insightful, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe to stay updated on all the latest immigration news and stories that matter. Hit that notification bell so you never miss a video. We'll be keeping a close eye on these lawsuits as they develop. Until next time, take care, and we'll see you in the next video.